Jane Eyre, Chapter 4, Part 3. Mrs. Reed and I were left alone. Some minutes passed in silence. She was sewing. I was watching her. Mrs. Reed might be at that time some 6 or 7 and 30. She was a woman of a robust frame, square-shouldered and strong-limbed, not tall, and though stout, not obese. She had a somewhat large face, the underjaw being much more developed and very solid. Her brow was low, her chin large and prominent, mouth and nose sufficiently regular. Under her light eyebrows it glimmered an eye devoid of truth. Her skin was dark and opaque, her hair nearly flaxen. Her constitution was sound as a bell. Illness never came near her. She was an exact, clever manager. Her household and tenantry were thoroughly under her control. Her children only at times defied her authority and laughed in it scorn. She dressed well and had a presence and port calculated to set off handsome attire. Sitting on a low stool a few yards from her armchair, I examined her figure. I perused her features. In my hand I held the tract containing the sudden death of the liar, to which narrative my attention had been pointed as an appropriate warning. What had just passed? What Mrs. Reed had said concerning me to Mr. Brocklehurst, the whole tenor of their conversation was recent, raw, and stinging in my mind. I had felt every word as acutely as I had heard it plainly, and a passion of resentment fomented now within me. Mrs. Reed looked up from her work. Her eye settled on mine. Her fingers at the same time suspended their nimble movements. "Go into the room, return to the nursery," was her mandate. My look or something else must have struck her as offensive, for she spoke with extreme, though suppressed, irritation. I got up, I went to the door, I came back again, I walked to the window across the room, then close up to her. Speak, I must. I had been trodden on severely and must turn, but how? What strength had I to dart retaliation at my antagonist? I gathered my energies and launched them into this blunt sentence. I am not deceitful. If I were, I should say I loved you, but I declare I do not love you. I dislike you the worst of anybody in the world except John Reed. And this book about the liar, you may give it to your girl Georgiana, for it is she who tells lies and not I. Mrs. Reed's hands still lay on her work, inactive. Her eye of ice continued to dwell freezingly on mine. "What more have you to say?" she asked, rather in the tone in which a person might address an opponent of adult age than that is ordinarily used to a child. That eye of hers, that voice, stirred every antipathy I had. Shaking from head to foot, thrilled with ungovernable excitement, I continued, "I am glad you are no relation of mine. I will never call you aunt again as long as I live. I will never come to see you when I am grown up. And if anyone asks me how I liked you and how you treated me, I will say the very thought of you makes me sick, and that you treated me with miserable cruelty." "How dare you affirm that, Jane Eyre?" "How dare I, Mrs. Reed? How dare I? Because it is the truth. You think I have no feelings, and that I can do without one bit of love or kindness, but I cannot live so, and you have no pity. I shall remember how you thrust me back, roughly and violently thrust me back into the red room, and locked me up in there to my dying day, though I was in agony, though I cried out while suffocating with distress, 'Have mercy, have mercy, Aunt Reed!' And that punishment you made me suffer because your wicked boy struck me, knocked me down for nothing. I will tell anybody who asks me questions this exact tale. People will think you a good woman, but you are bad, hard-hearted, you are deceitful." Ere I had finished this reply, my soul began to expand, to exult with the strangest sense of freedom, of triumph I ever felt. It seemed as if an invisible bond had burst, and that I had struggled out into unhoped-for liberty. Not without cause for the sentiment. Mrs. Reed looked frightened. Her work had slipped from her knee. She was lifting up her hands, rocking herself to and fro, and even twisting her face as if she would cry. "Jane, you are under a mistake. What is the matter with you? Why do you tremble so violently? Would you like to drink some water?" "No, Mrs. Reed. Is there anything else you wish for, Jane? I assure you I desire to be your friend." "Not you. You told Mr. Brocklehurst I had a bad character, a deceitful disposition, and I will let everybody at Lowood know what you are and what you have done." "Jane, you don't understand these things. Children must be corrected for their faults." "Deceit is not my fault," I cried out in a savage high voice. "But you are passionate, Jane. That you must allow. And now return to the nursery, there's a dear, and lie down a little." "I am not your dear. I cannot lie down. Send me to school soon, Mrs. Reed, for I hate to live here." "I will indeed send her to school soon," murmured Mrs. Reed, sotto voce, and gathering up her work, she abruptly quitted the apartment. I was left there alone, winner of the field. It was the hardest battle I had fought for the first victory I gained. I stood a while on the rug where Mr. Brocklehurst had stood, and I enjoyed my conqueror's solitude. First I smiled to myself and felt elate, But this fierce pleasure subsided in me as fast as did the accelerated throb of my pulses. A child cannot quarrel with its elders as I had done, cannot give its furious feelings uncontrolled play as I had given mine, without experiencing afterwards the pang of remorse and the chill of reaction. A ridge of lighted a ridge of lighted heath, alive, glancing, devouring, would have been a meet emblem of my mind when I had accused and menaced Mrs. Reed. The same ridge, black and blasted after the flames are dead, would have represented as meetly my subsequent condition, when half an hour's silence and reflection had shown me the madness of my conduct and the dreariness of my hated and hating position. Something of vengeance I had tasted for the first time. As aromatic wine, it seemed on swallowing, warm and racy. Its after flavor, metallic and corroding, gave me a sensation as if I had been poisoned. Willingly would I now have gone and asked Mrs. Reed's pardon, but I knew, partly from experience and partly from instinct, that was the way to make her repulse me with double scorn, thereby re-exciting every turbulent impulse of my nature. I would fain exercise some better faculty than that of fierce speaking, fain find nourishment for some less fiendish feeling than that of somber indignation. I took a book, some Arabian tales. I sat down and endeavored to read. I could make no sense of the subject. My own thoughts swam always between me and the page I had always found fascinating. I opened the glass door in the breakfast room. The shrubbery was quite still. The black frost reigned unbroken by sun or breeze through the grounds. I covered my head and arms with the skirt of my frock and went out to walk in the part of the plantation which was quite sequestered. But I found no pleasure in the silent trees, the falling fir cones, the congealed relics of autumn. Russet leaves swept by, past winds in heaps, and now stiffened together. I leaned against a gate and looked into an empty field where no sheep were feeding, where the short grass was nipped and blanched. It was a very gray day, a most opaque sky, onding on snow, canopied all. Thence flakes fell at intervals, which settled on the hard path and on the hoary lea without melting. I stood, a wretched child enough, whispering to myself over and over again, "What shall I do? What shall I do?" All at once I heard a clear voice call, "Miss Jane, where are you? Come to lunch." It was Bessie. I knew well enough, but I did not stir. Her light step came tripping down the path. "You naughty little thing," she said. "Why didn't you come when you were called?" Bessie's presence, compared with the thoughts over which I had been brooding, seemed cheerful, even though, as usual, she was somewhat cross. The fact is, after my conflict with and victory over Mrs. Reed, I was not disposed to care much for the nursemaid's transitory anger, and I was disposed to bask in her youthful lightness of heart. I just put my 2 arms round her and said, "Come, Bessie, don't scold." The action was more frank and fearless than any I had habituated to indulge in. Somehow it pleased her. "You are a strange child, Miss Jane," she said as she looked down at me. "A little roving, solitary thing, and you are going to school, I suppose?" I nodded. "You won't be sorry to leave poor Bessie?" "What does Bessie care for me? She is always scolding me." "Because you're such a queer, frightened, shy little thing. You should be bolder." "What? To get more knocks?" "Nonsense. But you are rather put upon, that's certain. My mother said when she came to see me last week that she should not like a little one of her own to be put in your place. Now, come in, and I have some good news for you." "I don't think you have, Bessie." "Child, what do you mean? What sorrowful eyes you fix on me." "Well, but Mrs. and the young ladies and Master John are going out to tea this afternoon, and you shall have tea with me. I'll ask cook to bake you a little cake, and then you shall help me to look over your drawers, for I am soon to pack your trunk. Mrs. intends you to leave Gateshead in a day or two, and you shall choose what toys you like to take with you." "Bessie, you must promise not to scold me any more till I go." "Well, I will. But mind you are a very good girl, and don't be afraid of me. Don't start when I chance to speak rather sharply. It's so provoking." "I don't think I shall ever be afraid of you again, Bessie, because I've got used to you, and I shall soon have another set of people to dread." "If you dread them, they'll dislike you." "As you do, Bessie?" "I don't dislike you, miss. I believe I am fonder of you than all the others." "You don't show it." "You little sharp thing, you've got quite a new way of talking. What makes you so venturesome and hardy?" "Why, I shall soon be away from you, and besides—" I was going to say something about what I passed between me and Mrs. Reed, but on second thoughts I considered it better to remain silent on that head. "And so you're glad to leave me?" "Not at all, Bessie. Indeed, just now I'm rather sorry." "Just now, and rather? How coolly my little lady says it! I dare say now if I were to ask you for a kiss, you wouldn't give it to me. You'd say you'd rather not." "I'll kiss you and welcome. Bend your head down." Bessie stooped. We mutually embraced, and I followed her into the house, quite comforted. That afternoon lapsed into peace and harmony, and in the evening Bessie told me some of her most enchanting stories and sang me some of her sweetest songs. Even for me, life had its gleams of sunshine.